Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. So this is going to be a QA stream. Let me just double check that everything looks all right. Let's get everything set up. Um, while I'm doing that, basically, well, as long as I'm unmuted, at least double check that. Okay, cool. So basically, the gist of this stream is I wanted to look into um, quality assurance QA as a technical role, and I actually have
All
a
right,
colleague.
hello
Oh, geez.
everybody.
Okay.
Welcome. So this is
So it works, but I need to mute it over there. So that might actually. Okay. Cool. So, anyways, like I was saying, I have a colleague that's actually Vic and I go way back, and he's a senior QA manager with 18 years experience. And he was actually asking me not too long ago um, if I knew anyone in the in northern Colorado, Denver area, because he's actually hiring. And I asked him uh, kind of what he looks for when he's hiring a new QA candidate or a QA engineer, whatever title you want to go with. And so he sent me this. He agreed, and basically, this is what straight from, or this is a bunch of advice straight from a hiring manager in the QA field. So, anyways, I was gonna go ahead and try to do this free code camp uh, class, and actually let me pull that. But it's pretty lengthy, and that would be definitely something for anyone watching this to do. Let me go ahead and find it. Let's see. Okay, so I put it right there. There we go. So here is the link. And this is actually already a web page up. Let me go ahead and get that as well. Um, Actually, I should throw that into the chat. Cool. Okay, so this is the CodePen website for this topic. Okay, yeah. It's the QA tips. That's just what it said for now. OSCS, Open Source Computer Science QA tips. So for anyone wanting to follow along, I think I will make this. I don't know if I'll make this a file in GitHub. This is kind of just more of a text file, but I will fill it out on the CodePen site. So as we go along, I just wanted to make some basic notes. This is actually going to be a shorter stream than usual, so I got a thing here in less than an hour. But I did want to get this out because I just think that this kind of thing, well, just like when I did the interview prep the other day, that kind of stream is what I think would actually be beneficial to people that. I mean, there's a lot of people in the job market right now. I mean, myself included, and there's a lot of hiring managers out there trying to hire good talent, and so it's just a mad grab for tech careers all around. So things like this, just broadening your horizons, trying kind of getting an idea of other things that are out there. Like I just finished a cybersecurity boot camp, but I'm leaning towards a application developer job right now and really trying for that. So, and I would honestly consider it a QA role as well because it's a really fascinating field too. I mean, it's ensuring quality assurance. So it's like the testing. It's making sure that all the code that's being worked on works. And works as expected. Um, hey, what's up, Bob? Welcome. Just doing a tech stream, a short one. I might actually be on later if you want to do some Borderlands, but yeah, we should think about that. But um, anyways, yeah, I've actually thought about doing a QA role just because it, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you know, it's still technical, it takes skills, and anyways. So without further ado, let's see. I do have the link here, and this is on the website. So that's the class. Sorry, while I'm talking about this, on freecodecamp.com, and that actually prepares you for. I think you get like a certification, not like a. Anyways, you get a little thing that says that you've done a lesson or a class in QA. So that's worth checking out. But you know, especially if you're gonna try to go for one of these roles, like that Vic has. So yeah, you better be skilled though if you're gonna try to look him up, or try to link with or network with him. So, anyways, without further ado, let's go into the topics. So first off, he says, does the candidate exhibit critical thinking ability? And so right away, what this means to me, I'll go ahead and just write the notes underneath it. Um, is are they a quick learner or are they able to, I don't know, say like research solutions slash like find answers independently? Because I mean, independent. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher that. Since this is all one big error, find answers on their own. There you go. Just so I don't have a typo on there. And basically, and that's just a really important skill for anything you try to do. You need to be able to, well, critical thinking. So you need to be able to think through problems. So this could actually, I could be kind of missing the mark here. This could also be meaning like, how do they work through problems? Like, are they able to extrapolate concepts and, things from data, results, verify accuracy? Well, especially with testing. So testing is very, cut or it's like black and white. Either it works or it doesn't a lot of the time. Although I say that, there are tests that kind of there's a gray area too. So, and we'll get into that later. But most of the tests, it's like either the software works as expected or it doesn't. I mean, when I'm talking about the gray area, we actually saw a little bit of that in the JavaScript post last night or whenever it was. Um, I had the tic-tac-toe game where it worked as expected with a quirk, and so that would still fail a type of test, like a user experience test, where the board updated after the message saying, excuse me, the message saying you either won or the computer won popped up. Anyways, something to think about. And in, good testing, like, and that's why I was going through and trying the different difficulties, trying the different settings. I was doing some of my own testing. So, and actually, we talk a little bit about their, yeah, it's the very next one. So let's actually jump to that. Does the person understand the role of a QA engineer in relation to the developers? So most developers do some testing on their own anyway. Like every developer learns at some point, whether it's JUnit or just trying it out, they learn to test it or turning in assignments too. Everybody has to do testing before all that. But this to me means do they understand that where their job starts and ends too? Because the thing is if they have someone specified as a QA engineer, that's their realm, that's their job. While a lot of companies, I'm sure, are okay with suggestions, or if the QA engineer happens to notice something that might work, cool. But they would just be suggestions, or it would be a message sent to the developers from the QA engineer, and that's that. They wouldn't actually be jumping in there, changing code. Like, oh, well, this is all you need to do. No, they're more like, report it, let them know what's going on, because there might be some corner cases, and I can vouch for this for sure. I mean, trying to, help other people when I used to work on projects with others. Like there might be something that you don't understand about the code. I mean, and not because, you don't understand coding. It's like it's more of a situation where there could be several files and there could be a specific piece of code that relies on something. I know I'm being really big, but you'll see it when you see it. But if there's something that needs to stay the way it is, and if you change it, it will break down the line somewhere else. That could be a problem, and those are called corner cases or blind spots. There's a few terms for it, but basically, um, you just need to be in communication with your team. So, and the reason that this is important is, like know where your job begins and ends. Um, so yeah, because be careful not to change code, but communicate to the developers. Maybe lend suggestions, but don't actually change anything. All right, so that's a little butchered. I might try to clean that up before for the final version of the website. Like I said, it's up. I haven't updated it at all. It's just a bare bones frame that I'm going to fill in with what we do in this stream, but I'll try to make it a little cleaner. But that's basically the gist of it, from what I understand. Again, these are points that Vic would just point out. He said, the following items are often looked at while interviewing a QA candidate. So this is, someone who is actually going to be hiring QA engineers. This is what they're thinking. This is what's going through their heads. This is what's important. So again, if you're going to be applying to a job like this, I would just go through this list and make sure you feel confident that, I mean, a lot of times you want to be able to actually like do it, like more specifically down here, like what kind of QA software have you worked with? I'm actually going to try to do a whole stream on JUnit because I need to do that for the job that I'm interviewing for. And as a general skill, I want to be more familiar with it. I've only used it a little bit, but that would be something that would fall under this category. But I would want to find out, and that's why I suggest this free code camp class down here, because already, and we can take a look at this too. We've only got 10 minutes in, and just see what kind of specific technologies a QA engineer for quality assurance would need to know. So, anywho, so we have that, but don't actually change it without authorization. There we go. Because I mean, I could be wrong. Depending on your company, you might actually be tasked with random changes. In fact, is that kind of running up the screen? Let's go. There we go. Actually, make it more that size. So, okay. All right. So next, in some cases, depending on job applied for, does the candidate have well-rounded script experiences? Okay. So, and that's more referring to like scripting is just kind of tasks that you want to automate. So you would write a script. A lot of times it's either something like Bash, Python. We did a lot of scripting and security. I know that for a lot of yeah, for some of the process of QA, just verifying that I actually interviewed for a job that was similar to this, but we would have had to write scripts, kind of checking the printers and the computers to see if they were configured correctly, if they worked as expected. But yeah, there'd just be little scripts. And this isn't expecting you to know all, intense algorithms, um, parallel programming or anything like really intricate like that. Of course you can, there's nothing that says you can't, but for QA, good scripting would be, are you able to debug? Well, you still need to know good coding practices. Can you debug? Can you fix it in a timely fashion and make sure that it's doing exactly what you want it to do? And again, that's vague, but I'll be doing some Bash videos because I do have some very handy Bash scripts that I've made over the years. Some really good examples I'd like to share. But and also Python too. If you do a bunch of the easier challenges on Code Wars, a lot of them are formatting. That's very useful in scripting because, like, say you're trying to round up logs, or well, yeah, for QA as well. Usually logs would just be in everything, but for testing, you'd want to see the reports, the results, and you'd want to present that information in a clean manner, or at least be able to change it on the fly is very useful, a very useful skill in QA. Yeah, because you're going to be reporting this information to someone else, whether it's the developers, the manager, the CTO, the CEO, anyone higher up. You might have to do that too, but basically you want to be able to automate these tests and automate a lot of these processes, mostly for your own sanity too, because if it can be automated, then might as well. But yeah, so let's see. So as far as this scripting, so Python, Bash. I don't know what specifically. I'll have to ask them about that, but basically just being able to do it. And honestly, with my Bash scripting, it's mostly just Google foo. Like I look up every single part as I'm coding it. Like I know what I want to do, and I have a good idea of how I want to do it. But with Bash specifically, um, like their if statements, or if and then backwards, which is just very strange to me. But something I would look up, verify it, script it, run the script, verify that it's functioning, that it actually does what it should do. Yeah. And in Python, of course, you've got error messages, so it's a lot easier to learn. And I do have a couple videos out on that already. And I hope to be going back through a whole series of over 360 challenges. So Python, Bash, um, and you might even look into uh, trying to think of what it is. Batch, batch files. We'll go put batch um, for Windows. Um, that kind of scripting, uh, batch PowerShell. Um, I haven't done a whole lot in that, and again, that would be much like my bash. I would look up everything to do that. I'm pretty sure it's like a .bat file, and then I would just piece it together every little step that I need to do. Be like, okay, go to these directories or folders, copy this if it's a backup script, or I do have an example of an antivirus script in Bash that's already available on the GitHub, so you could look at a couple Bash scripts already before I make a stream. And I'll look at some batch ones too, some Windows scripting. But anyways, just a well-rounded script experience. You don't have to be a voodoo expert, or magician or ninja, or sorry, not magician, more like ninja or wizard, or a lot of the terms with coding, but you should at least be able to write basic scripts and, or at least know what's going on with an existing script. Then worst case scenario, you can just kind of like fashion your own script based off of that and change it, in accordance. Whatever gets the business needs done in a timely fashion too, because, in the professional world, you do have these time constraints, so yeah, it'd be good to just know that going in. Let's see. So does the person understand agile processes, and if so, to what extent? So this is actually kind of more of an in-depth answer, and actually I want to look that up real quick. I'm literally just using a search engine to find agile. Let's see, agile processes. I mean, so already, yeah, there's processes, Scrum, because there's a few different terms as far as this goes. So agile project management. All right, so here's a definition. Usually these are pretty good from oh geez, the basically oh yeah, this is actually really good because we've got waterfall, incremental, rad, fish, scrum, iterative, incremental. Yeah, I think I said incremental, prototyping, spiral. So all right, actually let me oh, then there's an advertisement. Huh. Well, okay, actually, this one, if this is accurate, so that's the other thing. When you're searching, you need to make sure that it looks legitimate. Like, it looks like a good site. This already looks kind of advertisey, but then again, W3 Schools has tons of advertisements. That's one of my favorite reference sites. Um, this actually looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and throw this in there. See what you think about it. Proceed at your own risk. It is an HTTPS. I mean, at least there's that. But this actually has, so we have Agile here laid out, and it has phases. So let me drop that in the chat. I'll put that, there you go. This is what I'm looking at for Agile. I'll put it on here. Yeah, so we'll have the notes. And then, okay, go ahead. Here are the Agile process models. Then it has a brief explanation. So I'm just going to put this just, I mean, I don't want to be ripping off this site, but basically just kind of so we have something to look at. Because already I noticed a couple of keywords: Scrum, extreme programming, I've heard, adaptive software development, dynamic. And I have colleagues that have taken entire classes in just Scrum and Agile. And basically, from what I understand, Scrum is more a lot of meetings. Yeah, there's Scrum meetings, um, daily, like very frequently, often. Um, there's constant communication where all the teams come together. The developers, QA. Let's see, communication. But it's just very important that you have constant interaction. So you don't end up working on something and you aren't aware of the work that you're doing being completely off the mark. And then there's a bunch of wasted time where you have to backtrack, go back and do it the right way. Um, and you're still working hard doing this. You're just going in the wrong direction. And so rather than doing that, since software development is so expensive, I mean, getting the qualified technicians that do this stuff or, yeah, it's expensive. So you don't want to be wasting a bunch of resources doing that. So yeah, and it says again, I'm not going to rip off the site. Feel free to go look at it. But according, we have the process here. This would be something to do if you're interested in going into a QA position. Go to sites like this, look at the differences. I mean, that's the main importance that I know for Agile. Is the Scrum aspect where they have a bunch of meetings. I mean, the extreme programming part that just sounds exciting, but and I can see that when you need like a push. You have a deadline, or you need something uh, sent out immediately. Like there's a patch you need to do, or yeah, especially if there's a vulnerability or something isn't functioning, and your customers or your clients are actually if there's a loss of production, a loss of income, it's starting to affect the business. Then yeah, you need to be extreme programming for sure. Um, Yep, and this does say testing in there too. And testing is a very important part, especially with something like that, because the faster you test it, you make sure, because otherwise you're still just stumbling over yourself. If you send out a buggy patch, you didn't really fix the problem, and then you have to start the cycle all over again. So yeah, testing is always a very important part that's integral to the development process. It's actually the last one here, of course, before you can actually roll it out, has to be tested in production, like anything that could go wrong, corner cases, all that needs to be accounted for. So, or most of it. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, because actually, don't be surprised if a lot of your thoughts and ideas are ignored when you're a QA engineer, and they just get the minimum viable product out to production. Because that's a very good realistic possibility too. Because time is money, and while in a perfect world, yes, and software developers are the same way. We think of so many things like um, all these features that we want to do. Personally, the websites I'm doing, I want to add that the scheme switcher logic. I'm actually close to doing it too, but again, you can't do everything. You got to kind of make efficient choices on what you want to do. So, sorry, I digress there. But yeah, like I said, look up these different things. Just make sure that you're able to explain this too. And agile process specifically. So, like they said, this one has all these different methods. Waterfall, I've heard before. I've done that in interviews. Fish model, rad model, RUP, Kokomo, Big Bang. Okay, now they're starting to get sound a little silly, but I mean, yeah, these are all real uh, development methodologies. I guess unless there's a or processes. There you go. That's a better word for it. But anyways, then the next one, learning style. Yeah, can at times be important based on company processes. So in general, it's just good to um, let's see, be ready to make an effort to learn any skills slash tech needed for the position because there are so many things out there, and that's why I'm just kind of doing as many of these videos as I can think of. Just because yeah, there are oftentimes you need to learn something or at least brush up on stuff. So just be ready to learn. I mean, have a learning style. Um, well, you need a basic one anyway. No matter which job you do, you need to just have an open mind about learning new skills and stuff. But yeah, like you said here, can at times be important. And then that also depends on the company processes. So each company is different. I know one of the companies I worked for, they did a lot of education things. They partnered with one of the local community colleges, and it was really cool. I actually did a program management class. And I haven't used it a lot, so I don't really mention it on the LinkedIn's or anything like that. But I mean, it was really cool because I did get that training, and they do a lot of those based on the company. They might do sponsored training, or they might just have you do free classes. They might have you watch streams like this. I don't know, who knows? But yeah, so that's really company specific, but just be ready to learn and make an effort to do that. So, and then see what they would like you to do. Oh, another thing, certifications. So, um, be aware of the company's certification policy. So I say that because another place I worked at actually sponsored certifications, but they also required them. So they wanted, depending on which team you were working for, they required you to have a certification that um, was relevant to your team. So, but it was really cool because they offer to pay for them. So just check to see what the company's policy is. Oftentimes, you'll want to get the certifications um, that relate to the job that you're trying to go for, but something to think about. And actually, you get a certificate from freecodecamp.com, but it's not the same as a certification, if that makes sense. Like you go to CompTIA or I forget the other ones' names, but CompTIA is just like the main one I know. They give you an actual certification and you pay for it, and then you have to renew it every so often, and that's a certification. Then you also get a certificate of completion from things like Free Code Camp. I just got one for my boot camp, even though it's not a certification, it's a certificate. So subtle differences, but just know the company's policy. Take a look at it. Maybe ask questions about it. Just be aware of that. So we're actually doing pretty good. So let's see. Now, what basic testing experience does the person have? So already I'm working on a JUnit video. I'm kind of getting some stuff together, just kind of relearning how to do it, setup, framework, stuff like that. I do have some Angular code that I want to test on, so I might actually do like two birds, one stone, do some Angular, and then also do some JUnit. But then I'd also like to do a whole Angular video together. But if I have a good couple of hours, maybe we'll just do them together. But basically, be aware of things like JUnit, debuggers. I know I kind of griped about it the other stream and said I don't particularly like debuggers. They are useful to know though. Like you need to, hey, what's up, time traveler? Sorry, I don't know any message, but oh, just did. All right, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to the QA stream. So yeah, it's just good to have a wide array of testing experience, knowledge and stuff. Um, and so a good way to do that is if you go to the free code camp test. Why is it not scrolling down? There we go. I wanted to just bring that up a little bit, see how it looks on the screen. And did I put that? Drop it in the. Well, it's on the website too, and we have that in the chat as well. Um, so I should just put down things like JUnit. Um, I want to say Selenium. Let me look that up real quick, actually. So, common QA tools. Hmm. No, that's not really testing management tools, functional testing tools, performance testing tools. There's Jira. I've heard of that before. There's a lot of stuff. So I imagine best way to go about that. I'll edit that after I take a look at the free code camp. I want to kind of see what they're teaching. So that's a good indication of something that I just know JUnit for sure because that's what this job that I'm going for requires an understanding of. So, but different testing things. Oh yeah, and I know I was talking down about debuggers, but they are useful to know. You should practice using a debugger. Be able to step through your program, make sure everything's working as expected, and even if it's just a sample, like um, you could just throw something together. Use any of the ones that we've been doing. You could just change something simple, like trying to think of a good one. Even with Rot 13, you could do that. Like, let's pull that up real quick. There. And this, I'll be doing a whole one with JUnit, but say you wanted right here, where we have, yeah, we were doing some testing, debugging statements here. So this is, I guess really the testing would be more of these. So we were trying this, um, seeing what came out, and actually already I know I'm butchering those concepts because in the world of QA, there are several. Well, yeah, let me look at this thing. There's a bunch of different categories of testing. There's performance testing. There's functional testing. Um, there's a lot of different subcategories, so it might just be useful to be aware of that. But basically, what I was saying with the JUnit, you can assert that a certain part of the code will result in a certain value. And by that I mean, if you know what the value is supposed to be, like say you were doing a test of just the letter A and you wanted to see what it encrypted to, you could put in a JUnit test right around here or have it look, and I might even be saying that wrong too. I'm going to be learning JUnit all over again. But basically you can put it right here and make sure that the value equals what you expected. So this is the rot 13, so it'd be 13 spaces. Well, so real quick we could see A gets 1. So, or I guess it's in the second one. Let's see. Yeah, A gets 1. Sorry, the first one. And then if you get 1, it's A. But then A gets 1. You add 13, so we get 14. So now we need to see what 14 pops out right there. N. So we would assert that the variable changed to a value of N. And if it didn't, then you'd have it flag and say, okay, no, this test failed. And I think JUnit has this really nice, fancy like red lettering system to where you can see. And same with you could also run this through the debugger. I don't know how offhand. I'd want to do that. Kind of get where was it even? I know there's a button you can do, but anyways, I've done the debugger on Eclipse before, and basically what it does is it steps through every single piece as your code executes. So every little change, yeah. So you would be able to see the step where the variable turned to a value of n. So see, like here it's return char, but then that's returned, and we're using it right here. So we get the char value right here, and then we're doing it from char, or no, that's the char value, and then we're making it circular by getting the remainder if it's larger. So if it's outside of if the index is outside the index range of our setup, it chops it, makes it the remainder. Here we go, from int. So here we are. If it's, less than 0, which is that case, then it leaves it alone, like punctuation, spaces. You'll notice that's not encrypted. Um, yeah. So, and you can do any number of tests. That's just an example, having a, n, and 14 and 1. There's 4 tests right there. You can make sure that the input is an A. You can make sure that the corresponding value that's calculated from the A equals 1. You can have a test for does that turn into 13? Then you can have a test for does that 14, or no, sorry, does that turn into 14? And then does that 14 yield an N? So, and that's just a few spots. I'm sure there's several other places you could insert different types of tests throughout this thing. Also, a test that I used with this one specifically is I noticed that one letter seemed to be off, and I think that was the one if it was -1. Yeah, we went through all of that, but basically I was using -1 as the default, but that was actually triggering if you added 13 to it, you got 12, and so then that was say an L. That actually sounds familiar now, but that's why I wrote the entire alphabet here. I wanted to see, okay, here's every single letter. Let's see if there's anyone that doesn't look in order, because when you see the encrypted with rot 13, it's really easy to tell if you have something out of order because you have the first half of the alphabet here in order, and then you have the second half of the alphabet here. That's basically when you do rot 13, that's what it does. It splits the alphabet in half and reverses it. And then if you were to do it again, it splits it in half and reverses it back to the original form, like this. So, and that's why I did it kind of like mirror testing. I encrypted the plain text and then I decrypted, and then I encrypted the ciphertext. Sorry, let me slow down a little bit. I just get all excited on this because this is a really fun program to do. There's definitely aha moments. It's really cool to see a bunch of gibberish, you know, and then you feed that gibberish, copy and paste it. You don't want to try to type that out because that would just be a pain, and there's a good chance you'd have errors. So yeah, and then to get the actual message back, it's just really cool with any encryption program. I don't care what it is. But anyways, so that's testing in a nutshell as far as that goes. And again, there's several types of testing. Let's go back to QA. So yeah, so what I would be doing if I was, getting ready for a job, if I was going to reach out to Vic and apply to a job or any QA position. I mean, and not to say that this is actually going to guarantee any jobs anywhere, but it's a good start. It's a good thing to do. So I would write down all the testing things I do, like using the debugger. I would practice using the debugger on something. practice some JUnit. I want to say Selenium, yeah, I think there's like SafeLight, Selenium, Starlight. There's a few other QA tools, and again, Selenium testing. There we go. That might be it. Oh no, that's a blood test thing. Anyways, I'm gonna. Or wait, no. For either Java or C Sharp. Okay. Selenium. I might have to look at that. Yeah, because I don't. I've only got. Yeah, I've only got about 15 more minutes that I can be doing this. So, anyways, I will update that on the website. That's on the CodePen site. We'll have the notes there. Um, let's see. Then during the interviews, and so this one already during my streams, I kind of fail a little bit. I get a little flustered. I stumble over my words a bit, but basically, whenever you're interviewing, you do want to remain calm and collective, but be able to answer their questions. And also, don't stress if you don't know the answer. I have heard this piece of advice quite a bit from career services, where if you don't know the answer, definitely don't try to lie. I mean, that is one of the things, because often they'll know if you're lying. So it's much better to just say, uh, just admit that you would need to look into it further and maybe volunteer whatever information you do know about it, any relevant information that could potentially be the answer, but you're not too sure. So, and that kind of uh, that caution kind of demonstrates that something that is a reassuring quality in someone you're working with or working for you, because you know their ego isn't going to make them make a wrong decision or a bad decision, and that could cause problems down the road. They would much rather you admit that you don't understand what's going on or you don't know for sure, but then take the effort or the time and do the effort. Say that right? Yeah. Take the time, make the effort, and then get the correct answer. So, and staying calm, because there are a lot of times where there are high pressure situations, especially with testing. You might have software developers breathing down your neck, or trying to. You hope not, but you never know. It's different from company to company, but you could even have software developers, trying to pressure you to, oh no, no, that's okay, or because they don't want to go back and fix it, whatever it is. But there's a lot of stressful situations. So if you're able to stay calm, you know, yep, it's being observed closely. So that's just a good piece of advice from a hiring manager where, this is what he does during interviews. So, and then here we go. What kind of QA software? So this kind of ties back into it, but this is a little more specific. So this is what basic testing experience does the person have? So this would be more like debugging. So it's more of like a vague, like, what do you know about testing? Whereas JUnit actually, let me cut that out and put that here because what different type of QA software have you worked with? So this is more the actual technology, the tools, the software. So this would also be Selenium. Again, before I uh, well, I'll put this on the website and I'll double check Selenium. But these are just different examples of um, the software. So the actual tools, the names, like the names themselves, things that you can um, probably learn from Free Code Camp or other tutorial websites. Sorry, don't move that too far down. Oh yeah. Whereas this one, get that out. Um, yeah, this is more debugging. Um, types of testing would be a good thing to know. Because again, I know there are specific types like integral performance. I know there's stress testing, but as far as software goes, which actually might be a thing. I laugh at that, but in computers there is a certain aspect to the architecture too. So I know that the one job that I was interviewing for that wanted me to have a knowledge of scripting was actually, I believe, some of it was stress testing printers and computers. So different components, running them through situations, making sure that they don't falter or become faulty, stuff like that. Yeah. So, but then as far as like software has its own subcategories of types of testing, so that's important to know. Or like unit testing, I know, so testing each little unit or each little function or moving part. in the code, stuff like that. So actually, that was it's pretty good. I'll definitely be adding more. Let's see, we actually have I got like 10 minutes. Let me go ahead and pull up. I have the freecodecamp.com open. Yeah, quality assurance and testing with chai. So already, and then it has a. Oh, I can copy this. So and again, this is at the free code camp. So this link right here, but this is the very first thing you see in it is yeah, chai is a JavaScript testing library that helps you confirm that your program still behaves the way you expect it to after you make changes to your code. Using chai, you can write tests that describe your program's requirements and see if your program meets them. In this course, you'll learn about assertions, deep equality, truthiness, tested APIs, and other fundamentals for testing JavaScript applications. So this is pretty cool already, and there's your buzzword, chai. So if it were me, and actually after this video, well, after my appointment, and then later I'll probably be checking this out. But it looks like chai is something that you would use for JavaScript applications. So maybe I could even, take one of the ones. Here's quotes. I could run this and run chai on it and see, if I click this button, does this happen? I don't know how specific I can get with it, but that's just an example. We went through. I've got a couple videos out now with quote JS was the one we did last time. Arco Math JS, and then even before that, we did the tic tac toe, and we did what was the other one? Tic tac toe. Anyways, it was calculator. Yeah, very top right here. So we did calculator and tic tac toe, both of which are really good. You could definitely run some testing stuff on that. But that's what's cool about back to QA. Checking out the free code camp. So we've got chai, and then so it brings up some other buzzwords: assertions, deep equality, truthiness. And actually, we talked about truthiness in my cyber boot camp. That was pretty fun. Um, yeah, testing APIs and other fundamentals for testing. This is JavaScript specific, but these are good concepts to know. Like deep equality, I can already tell. Um, like an example of equality, you have the double equals and then the triple equals. Oh, that's quad. So the double equals is just, is this value equal to this value? Whereas the triple equals usually means is this value equal to this value and are they of the same type? So then you're doing a type check as well as a value equality check. So, and that's just a part of it. I'm sure deep equality goes even further than that. Or maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And then assertions. Assertions, from what I understand, let's see, test variable or function is defined. Yeah, assertions are basically like verify something. And you'll get some experience with this in Code Wars as well. So it's good to check those out. 'Cause you'll see the word thrown around a bunch, and it's just like assert that this means this is basically what that's referring to. But however, in um, JavaScript assertions, there's actually a whole thing that you can do with that. And then truthiness is more like, is it true? Is it one? Is it, stuff like that? Or is it falsy? There's truthy and there's falsy. So kind of tongue twister type thing. Then you have testing APIs. So think about frameworks, think about, pre-existing tools, toolkits for testing. Then other fundamentals. So other basic concepts, and more, basically. So let's see. Actually, I probably better get going so I can get ready. But that's QA in a nutshell. And again, like I said, this is straight from a professional in the field of, that has 18 years experience. He knows what he's talking about, and this is what's important. This is stuff that bears a little research. You want to dig into this, you want to figure out, like, yeah, just kind of go through, consider this, and this is what I would do to prepare for a QA interview. I mean, again, I do have kind of a problem with that. Sometimes I get a little excited, but overall, like as far as high pressure situations, I usually stay pretty calm, so I feel like okay with that. But yeah, and then I would make a little checklist of different softwares, different topics, and definitely check out this. It says it's a 300-hour class. So that is one thing about Free Code Camp that while they're really fun, they are really long. They're really thorough, but they're really long. So if you're able to complete the QA class, then that would look really good for applying to a QA position. So, and also, having a tech degree or years of experience, if you're self-taught or if you're doing it through university, you still need to have something. So, just some kind of technical experience, some projects, some examples, stuff like that. As far as QA, yeah, I would try this one. I would try this class, and then look up all these things. And again, I'll have. Let's see, did I put that? Yeah, I think that was the first thing, the code pen. So that again. Wait, it didn't pop up. Oh well. Anyways, the code pen, and actually I sent my name too. So all right, well that's QA in a nutshell. Thanks for stopping by. Thank Time Traveler and Bob. Oh yeah, and Bob, I might jump on some Borderlands later tonight. But yeah, so that's QA, and then I will be going further into JUnit here shortly, and maybe even do some debugging. I might try to relearn the debugger just to kind of be able to show that, and kind of that way you can play around with it too, because it is really useful to know. There's also a command line debugger too, so that's this IDE has a debugger, the command line has a debugger. I think it's like G, yeah, G something. But anyways, I'll take a look at that. So all right, see you guys next time. Bye.